we are focusing on defining perpendicular lines for this work today. I'm just adjusting my screen here. So here's what I'd like you to do. We're going to draw some perpendicular line segments using the right angle template and a straight edge. So we know when we're talking straight edge, sometimes I open up my template or I use a ruler. Anything that we know is going to help us create that straight line. So I am going to make perpendicular line segments here actually. So I'm going to go ahead and have them end at these points, and this is A and this is B, because I always like to start at the top of the alphabet. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my straight edge template, my right angle template, sorry, and I'm going to draw a line to create a right angle extending across both sides. And I'm going to make these lines, you guessed it, C, D. But I'm looking at how things are happening here, and I'm noticing that these two line segments cross right here in the middle. So that's actually a point. I'm going to label that point E. If you'd like to, go ahead and try to make this as well. I have two line segments, and I have created 1, 2, 3, 4 right angles. Line segment A and E and D make right angles. And I could continue on going across the board there. Like line segment D and E and C and E come together to make another right angle. Guess what? These lines are perpendicular. Vocabulary alert. Perpendicular would indicate that we have two lines intersecting to make right angles. Two lines intersecting to create a right angle. When they intersect, they form a right angle. And in this case, we have 4 right angles. So I'm writing that down. If I were you, I would probably put that in my notes, as well as we have a long list of vocabulary here. So I bet you're looking at me and you're thinking, Miss Crenshaw, 2 lines intersecting. I think that means that they cross? Well, yeah, that means they cross. Duh. I have 2 lines intersecting here that I just randomly created. But do they form right angles? I can take a glance at that, or I could even use my template and figure out that on this side I have an obtuse angle. On this side it's acute. Notice how it doesn't extend past or match up perfectly on that line here. Acute and obtuse angles. Those lines would just be classified as intersecting. When I have lines that are just plain old intersecting, they are 2 lines that cross to just make any old angle. So I could say this is E, F, G, H, I. So line segment EF and FG come together to form an obtuse angle. Not right. It is not perpendicular. Intersecting lines are just 2 lines that meet at some point. At a point or vertex. Because we know a vertex is another way to say a point. So, can you think of any situations or things around the space that you are currently in that represent lines that are perpendicular or lines that intersect? I can think about it in actually a couple of letters, like the letter T if it's written perfectly, and the letter L and V. We have some lines that are perpendicular in T here, even though it doesn't extend past, they still come together to make a right angle, just like an L. What about V? Take a moment and think. And think about looking around the space you're in, if you can find any perpendicular or intersecting lines.